Hi, and congratulations on your 2021 Nissan Rogue SV. Nissan did an amazing job when they redesigned this Rogue. I love the layout of it, love the new features that are in it. Everything about it is fantastic, but you already know that because you bought one. So let's go back through and have a look and see what you got and hopefully refresh your memory. And if you still have questions at the end, please don't hesitate to call, text, email, or stop in to 60 Baker Drive at O'Regan's. We're in Nova Scotia in Dartmouth. Okay, we're going to start right here at the infotainment system. We've got a beautiful elevated 8-inch display. This is called a floating display here. It is full touchscreen, but we can see we've got some buttons down on the bottom here as well. AM, FM radio. So I'm going to hit source up here. We've got AM, FM. Satellite is free for the first 3 months. USB 1 and 2. So we have two different USB ports down here. We have a Type-C, which is USB 1, and our traditional USB port, which is USB 2. Now for the Type-C, anybody who has an Android phone is going to be very familiar with this. Anybody who has an Apple phone, there is a cord that you can pick up. On one end, it will have that Type-C port. On the other end, it's got a Lightning port. It's going to charge your phone a little bit faster. And both of those ports will interact with the vehicle to give you Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, depending on the type of phone that you have. We've also got Bluetooth as an option here. What you don't see, because it has not yet been hooked up, is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. They will show up here after they've been hooked up using the USB ports down below. So we're going to come back out of here. All of my presets are here. You can see we've got up to 12 presets on AM or FM. On satellite, there's up to 18 presets. We're going to go into the settings here. Connections is where I go to hook up my phone. And then I'd hit add new. Then on your phone, you're going to go into your Bluetooth settings. You're going to look for My Rogue under your Bluetooth settings. You're going to tap on that. When it pops up, confirm the PIN number, press allow or OK. If you have an Android phone, you're going to have to do this twice, once for the contacts, once for the favorites and messages. And on an Apple phone, you'll need to do it once just to allow your favorites and messages from there. When you get home, connect to your Wi-Fi. What you're going to do at that point is once you're connected to your home Wi-Fi, it's going to automatically pull in any system software updates that might be available here. It does this automatically. You also have a vehicle hotspot, at which point you have 1 gigabyte worth of data within the first month that you own your vehicle. After that, if you want it, you will need to subscribe. All the information will be available at your dealership when you purchase the vehicle. To turn it on, you're simply going to press this and then press yes. I can see my user ID. There's my password for it. I'm going to come back. Anybody inside the vehicle can now hook up to the hotspot. To turn it back off, I'm going to come in and simply tap on the on. Now it's off. So we're all good there. Everything's easy to use. I'm going to go back one screen. Again, there's a back button down here as well as on the screen. And I'm going to go to clock and then set clock manually. And we can see I'm off by 1 day here. So there, everything's fully set. Oh, and it is AM, not PM. Very easy to operate everything here. All you got to do is use the touch screen, use the buttons on there, and you can set your clock. When it comes to daylight savings, just pop in and either reduce or increase the hour by 1. We're going to back all the way out. And the fastest way, if you want to get completely out, is just press the audio button. It takes you right back here. Down below on our climate control, I can see I've got heated seats with high, medium, and low. I have a heated steering wheel here. Same thing for the heated seats over here. Now, it is dual climate control and everything is synced up right now, which means if I change it here, it changes on both sides. Or if I change it over here, it only changes the passenger side. My sync button is off. I'm going to sync that back up. If I manually adjust my fan or where my airflow is going, auto turns off. What I do recommend to most people is find a temperature you like, press auto, and never worry about it. It will automatically do what it needs to get you up or down to that temperature. There's a little more to do with this in the remote start system that we're going to get into once we talk about the remote start. My gear shift is now an electronic gear shift with this. As long as I push the button on the side, if I push up 2, I'm into reverse. At which point we can see this beautiful backup camera with the 360-degree round view monitor. I also have my predictive lines to go with everything here. So we'll set that back. With this also, if I come down 1, I'm into neutral. Down again, I'm going to come down 2 notches. Now I'm into drive mode, and I can see this right down here. Now, if I come down 2 notches again, I'm now in manual shifting because I have paddle shifters here on the steering wheel. To switch it back, I'm simply going to go down again to drive, and now I'm in drive mode. To go into park, which I'm going to do right now, I'm simply going to have my foot on the brake and I'm going to push the park button, and now I'm in park. So that makes it very easy to operate all of that. My electronic parking brake, to engage it, I can pull up and the light comes on and it shows me up on the top of my dash. To disengage it, if I push down without my foot on the brake, it tells me put my foot on the brake, then push down. And you can see it disengaged up here. With my auto hold functionality, I'm going to press and hold the button there. Auto hold comes on. Now, when I'm in drive, because I'm already parked here, I can see my auto hold is lit up green. Now, if I touch my gas, it's going to light up white. Full stop for 2 seconds, we're lit up green again. I can take my foot completely off the brake at this point, and even though I'm in drive, I'm not moving. That's my auto hold functionality. Now, if I shift into park, because auto hold was on, the parking brake automatically comes on. The difference here is now, if I shift back to drive, my parking brake is still on. I'm in drive. However, if I just touch the gas, that releases and I start moving. So now I'm going to back up to where I was. And we're all good. And I'm going to shift back into park. My gear selector down here. This is a new thing for Nissan. We've moved it down from the dash over here to our center console. We've also given a few more options here. So what's going to happen here is I'm in auto. This is my top option here. And it will tell me up on the screen here as I change it. There's my auto mode. I also see it right down beside my park indicator down here. So with that, it's going to pick and choose when you're in front wheel versus all-wheel drive, and it does that for fuel efficiency. Eco mode is the first one to our right over here, and then I've got sport mode. Now on the left, I have snow mode. This is going to change my traction control on the vehicle, just because at this point the vehicle knows that it is a little slippery route. You're going to have a little more control over the traction, and you'll be in all-wheel drive a bit more often. Off-road mode is the same thing, except you're going to be in all-wheel drive almost the whole time. Again, it's meant for that traction, just to make sure that you've got the power that you need it when you're in any kind of off-road situation. And again, as I change it up here on the screen, you can see it go through the different modes. That way I don't need to be looking over at it as I'm changing it while I'm driving. Now we do have this beautiful new butterfly style console. There is a button in the front here that I'm going to push, and that opens up to give me a nice deep storage, and I've got full access to it. Now, anybody from the back can now access this, but the really neat thing is, if I'm driving along and my arm is resting on this, and the passenger wants to get something out, only the one side opens up. They can still access what they need without the driver having to move their arm, or vice versa. It's a really nice feature. Over here on my steering wheel, there's a slight change to the design of the wheel. It's still the D-shaped sport wheel, but with this, it's now straight across, and a little bit of a change with the buttons. Now this is the base SV, and what we're going to see is a huge difference, because this one now has Pro Pilot Assist. We still have our adaptive cruise here. So what this does, this button is going to answer a hang up a call once your phone is connected. This button will allow you to make an outbound call, or depending on the type of phone that you have, access your voice recognition system. It's either going to access Google Assistant on an Android phone or Siri on an Apple phone. The blue button is going to turn on my cruise. Now I can set resume or cancel right here. I can adjust the distance on my adaptive cruise, which I see right now here and up here. And I can drop it down to 2 or 1 or back up to 3. Or if I turn this off and turn it back on and press and hold, I'm no longer in adaptive cruise. I'm just in normal cruise mode, which shows up here, and there's no more lines in front of my vehicle down here. So I'm going to turn it off and back on. We can see initially it shows all your safety features there, but it also comes back to show you your adaptive cruise. And we see up here we've got our lane departure information here. And using the button down here, this will turn on and off ProPilot Assist. So now it's on, as it was off from the previous person who had been in the vehicle. So we're good to go with that. As I'm driving, ProPilot will kick in. You'll hear it beep. You'll see lines show up around everything here, and everything will light up green. And you're going to feel the steering wheel start to move in your hands. ProPilot will read the lines on either side of you when your cruise control is engaged and ProPilot is turned on, and it's going to help steer the vehicle. You'll feel the wheel move. It's trying to keep you centered in your lane. It's a great feature that was designed primarily for long drives or late night drives, but can be used in any situation that your cruise control is on and you're doing 50 kilometers an hour or higher, providing it can read both lines on either side of you. On the left side of our wheel, we have our volume. So I can increase or decrease the volume.
You picked it up, didn't you? I did.
Makes it easy for that. These two buttons are going to go through the presets on my audio. So I can see preset 6, 5, 4, and it shows me this on the screen up top here. So it's really nice that I can go through and see all of that. My button right here is a quick menu. So if I hit this, I have a couple options in there right now, just for quick access. And if I leave it, it disappears on its own. My left and right buttons with my OK dial here. Now I'm going to go back a couple screens because I want to start on the home screen. So this is where we're at. The left and right will take us through those options, and then any screen that has little dots on it, which we'll see on a few of them over here, will allow you to scroll. You also press in that dial to press OK. So right now we're on the home screen, which gives us a digital speedometer and our radio info. I'm going to go to the next screen on the right, and we see a couple dots there. Right now I'm on my speed, and I've got my average speed below it. If I scroll down, I now have my trip computer. Now we're showing extremely high fuel economy because we've only gone 60.9 kilometers in 3 hours and 10 minutes. So I'm going to press the OK button and hold it in. And then I'm going to say all, because I want to reset everything. And we're all reset. One more down takes us to our average fuel economy, which is now reset because we just reset it, and I'll go back up. Next screen to the right is for our tire pressure monitoring system. It will show you each individual tire once you start to drive. Whether you're on this screen or not, if you get a low tire pressure, it's going to pop up, tell you low tire pressure. It's also going to tell you exactly which tire is low and what the exact pressure is. From there, when you go to an air pump, whether it's at a service station, your local dealership, or wherever it is, go to the tire that needs the air and start putting air in. When you get to the proper pressure, providing your vehicle is either in the on position or running, when you get to the proper pressure, the horn's going to beep to tell you to stop. If you were to continue putting air in, you're going to hit an upper limit. At that point, the horn is going to beep 3 times in a row. Please stop putting air in the tire at that point. However, if that happens, you have 2 options. You can either go around and do the same thing to the other 3 tires so that you've got even pressure across them and you get even tread wear, or you can start releasing some of the air back out of that tire, and when you get back down to the correct pressure, the horn's going to beep once to tell you to stop. I'm going to scroll down here, and we have a screen that's going to show when you're in front-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive. This will allow you to monitor that. Pulling away from a dead stop, it's going to be an all-wheel drive. As soon as you get going, it's going to drop down to front-wheel drive. Any traction conditions at all, so hydroplaning, slippery roads, loose gravel, whatever it is, will automatically kick over to all-wheel drive, and it will tell you this. Also, as you change through the different modes, it will show you when you're in all-wheel versus front-wheel. Our next screen over is just our radio info, but from this screen, we've got total control of everything to do with our audio right from this screen. So we already saw here how we can control the volume and our presets. However, from this screen, if I press in the OK dial, I can now change the source of my audio. So I can switch over to satellite radio, and then everything's all good there. I didn't have to look over at my screen. I didn't have to do anything special. I did it all with the push of a thumb. Our next screen over is for the adaptive cruise control, which, as I said, will give you 1, 2, or 3 car lengths plus safe distance. And just as an example, 1 car length plus safe distance at 100 kilometers an hour is approximately 2.5 car lengths. If I scroll down on this, I now see all my safety features, and there is no shortage of safety features on this new Rogue. For starters, we have 10 airbags standard. Also, we have automatic emergency braking with forward collision warning and pedestrian detection. Forward collision warning is something you will experience. So if you're driving along and the car up ahead of you is turning into a side road or a driveway, and you're now closing the gap really fast because they're doing approximately 10 to 15 kilometers an hour around the turn, you're doing 50 or 60 kilometers an hour approaching them. As soon as that radar in the front gets within range, it senses that there is a risk of a collision here if something doesn't happen. Therefore, it will beep inside the vehicle and it will flash up on the screen and say warning, typically in orange or red depending on how close you are. That's your forward collision warning. The automatic emergency braking is the next step in that process, whereby if you're still closing that gap, or if the car in front of you piled on the brakes and you're closing that gap really fast, it beeps at you inside the vehicle. Your gas pedal tends to push back against your foot, except you don't feel it because your foot's lifting to go over to the brake. If it does not get to the brake fast enough, and it does happen, I've had it happen once, then the vehicle will start to apply the brake for you to help avoid or minimize an oncoming collision. This works the exact same way for the pedestrian detection, except it's going to happen much, much faster because the car ahead of you still has some forward momentum, while the pedestrian that's just walked out in front of you does not, and we're hoping to avoid giving them any. The other difference is instead of starting to apply the brake, it's going to fully apply the brake for you. Blind spot indicators are out on our mirrors on this new Rogue. So I'm going to put our window down here, and we can see out here we've got a little triangle that will light up an orange, and it's the same on both sides. That will light up and stay lit up as long as part of a vehicle is in your blind spot. With that said, if it's lit up and you signal to go whichever direction, so if our driver's side indicator is lit up and I signal to go left, then my indicator is going to start flashing and it's going to beep at me here inside the vehicle. Lane departure warning comes with a haptic steering wheel. So if you start to drift out of your lane, and it can read the lines and it understands that you're drifting out of your lane, your steering wheel is going to vibrate. It's like hitting the rumble strip on a highway. It's going to let you know that you are drifting out of your lane. And if you've got your cruise control at least turned on, not necessarily active, but we see this little indicator up here, that is your lane departure intervention. If need be, it will help pull you back over into your lane if you're not correcting it yourself. We have rear cross traffic detection. With that, if you're backing out of a parking spot and there's anything coming at you from either direction within approximately 2 car lengths inside the vehicle, it's going to beep at you, and whichever side the movement is coming from, the blind spot indicator on that side of the vehicle will be flashing to let you know, whoa, hold up, there's something coming at you from this side. At that point, you can either watch in your rear view mirror or your backup camera and you will see it go by. We've also got rear sonar and rear emergency braking in the back. So the rear sonar comes up with this. So we've got green, yellow, and red hash marks. And the first thing I want to point out here is as long as whatever is behind you stays above the red hash marks, you have room to safely open your hatch. When you're backing up, we see there's no noise happening right now. As I start to back up, once we get within those green hash marks and we're getting closer to the yellow, you hear some beeping and it starts getting faster the closer that you get, until you hit a point that you're down near the red, which is your the red hash marks there. With that, if I'm down near those red hash marks, I'm getting into a steady tone, at which point it's going to tell me I'm getting too close, and the automatic rear emergency braking will kick in and fully stop the vehicle about a foot away from whatever is behind us. Now, with all the glass there, I'm not going to scare the person inside by testing it out, but if you want to see it, I have tested it out on the Platinum version, which the video is already posted for that. So those are the safety features that come with it. Now, we have auto headlights as well. And with the auto headlights now, we still have high beam assist, but the location of it has changed. So the first thing I'm going to do is cover my light sensors up here on the vehicle to force my headlights to come on. As we see there, they just came on. Now I'm going to push in on the high beam assist, and I can see that shows up right beside it. High beam assist will work at 40 kilometers an hour or higher when your headlights are on, and it's dark enough. So if I'm driving along the highway and it's dark enough and I've got high beam assist on, if there is nothing ahead of me, the high beams will automatically come on. The moment that there is something ahead of me, whether it's going the same direction or coming at me, the high beams will turn off all on their own. This is a great feature for driving on the highway. It has to be in a dark enough area. For example, if I'm driving in an area that's well lit, the high beams will not come on because it's just not dark enough. It uses the camera up here to determine whether or not it's dark enough for the high beams or to see if there's anything ahead of us. So that's our high beam assist. I'm going to remove this so that our headlights turn back off on their own. High beam assist is off and then the headlights are off. So we're all good there. Our next screen over to the right is our settings. Now there is a couple of things that I do change in here and I want you to be aware of. I'm going to press OK to go in the settings. The first thing I want to check is under my driver assist. I want to make sure everything is turned on. These are our safety settings. So the warning is turned off. I'm going to turn this on. Now I'm going to hit the back button, which is now your left arrow. And I'm going to come down to blind spot. I'm going to turn on blind spot intervention. So this is a really neat feature with your blind spot indicator. If my indicator is lit up and I signal to go the same direction. So my driver's side indicator is lit up. I signal to go left. It's flashing. It's beeped at me inside the vehicle. And now that intervention is on. If I try and turn the steering wheel to go over, my steering wheel is going to fight me because it knows that there's something in my blind spot and it doesn't want me to do that. So it's another line of defense in just avoiding an accident. As we come back, we're going to come down to emergency brake. Both of those are on. Parking aids. Everything is turned on there. And then that distance for the rear emergency braking is set for medium. I can set it for long, medium, or short. And my volume is also set for medium, which I can set for low, medium, and high. So you can adjust those to be what you're comfortable with. I'm going to come down. My cross traffic is on. Driver attention alert is really neat because what will happen here is you're driving along, you move over, you correct your steering a few different times as you're driving. And then after 4 to 6 times doing that, up on the screen here, you'll see a coffee cup will pop up and say time for a break. It realizes that you're not as alert as you should be, and it might be time to have a coffee or tea or even just rest for a few minutes so that you're a little more alert. Timer alert, I'm not worried about. Low temperature alert is on, and that's my little snowflake that's showing up there. When it is 3 degrees Celsius or below, because we're in Canada, that snowflake will appear when the low temperature alert is on, just telling you there is a risk of black ice or slipperiness. So I'm going to hit the back button to come out of here. We're going to come down to our vehicle settings, and we're going to come into locking. Now by default, our vehicles will automatically unlock the vehicle when you turn them off. Someone has taken the time to put this one into shift into park. So now every time somebody shifts into park, it will automatically unlock the vehicles for us. So we're going to back out of there. I want to come into wipers. They're both on. Rear door alert. This is a safety feature Nissan started adding into some of its vehicles in 2018. With this, if you open the back doors to put something back there, whether it's a child, an animal, groceries, a bag, whatever it is, when rear door alert is on, it will trigger this. If you're going to turn this on, I recommend horn and alert. Once you've opened that back door, you get in, you turn the vehicle on, it's going to tell you rear door alert is active. When you get to where you're going, you shift into park, you turn the vehicle off, you get out. If within 30 seconds you do not open that back door, your horn is going to start beeping at you to tell you you forgot something in the back seat. It will also pop up on the screen here with a message telling you that rear door alert is active. So we're going to back out. That is something that you can turn on or off as you desire. Down here, our maintenance, we're going to go in for oil and filter. You can see here, with the new Nissan, we're now 16,000 kilometers for your oil or filter. We still do recommend your regular 8K servicing or every 6 months, whichever hits first, but it is set for 16,000 on the oil. Customize display, we can come in here into the main menu and we can see currently almost everything is on. So my home screen is good. There is a blank screen which is turned off, and then everything else is on. Now you saw up there speed and it says 100. We have traffic sign recognition, and as you pass a traffic sign with a speed limit posted, it will post it up here on your dash for you so that you can see what the speed is. So that way, if you're driving down an old country road and you don't remember what the speed limit was, or maybe you missed the sign, it'll be posted right up here if you've passed it. Trip computer, fuel economy, eco pedal, TPMS, all-wheel drive, audio. That's our safety features and our cruise control, and then we're back to the top. So lots of features here, and if you don't want all of them showing, you can just remove some of them. And that's the only stuff that I do change in the settings. So we're gonna come back out of there and I'm gonna leave it on the home screen. All right, couple final things. We have a beautiful panoramic moonroof up here. In the back, there are a couple USB ports similar to what we see right down here. Our controls over here have changed a little bit. So I've got my windows, which are all auto up and down. And I have a button here to lock all of them except for the driver window. My driver window being right here. For my mirrors, I simply push the one I want to adjust it. Same thing over there. And when you're done, whichever one is lit up, push it again to turn it back off. That way, if I accidentally hit the button, nothing happens. And we can see my lock and unlock have moved up here. On my key fob, I have my panic button, unlock, lock, and we have remote start on this. So to work the remote start, you're gonna hit lock and then hold the top button for 5 seconds. It will remote start your vehicle from up to 200 feet away, and it's gonna run for up to 10 minutes or until you engage the vehicle. To engage the vehicle, you simply get in, put your foot on the brake and hit the start button, the same as starting it. With that said, you can do 2 remote starts without ever getting in, or 1 remote start with an extension without ever getting in. After you've done that, when you get in, because that's how you reset it, is you got to get in, start the vehicle, and drive a little bit. If you decide you're not going anywhere, you can press and hold this top button for 2 seconds, and that will turn it back off. Now, your key fob, because it's a fob, has a battery inside that's typically good for 2 to 4 years. At that point, when your fob starts to get low, you'll go to start your vehicle, and on the screen it'll pop up. It's either going to tell you low key fob battery, or it'll say incorrect key ID when you try and start it. If that happens, give it a second for the message to go away, do it again. This is an indication it's time to switch your key fob battery. If you get to the point that the battery is dead, on the back, there is a little clip here, a button that if you push it over, there's a key for the driver's side door. That will allow you in the vehicle. From there, when you get in, take the Nissan emblem on your key fob and use that to push in your start button. It will still start the vehicle even though your battery is dead. Now, if you want to switch the battery out yourself, just get something into one of these 2 little recessed areas here, give it a little twist, and this will pop open. The battery that's inside looks like a watch battery, except it's a little bit bigger. The number on the battery is your battery size. Once you switch it out, just put everything back together, put your key back in place, you're good to go. Batteries can be found at any big box store or drugstore. The other thing is, if you want to take it into the Nissan dealership, it's $1 or $2 more, but they're going to do everything for you and they're going to test the battery in the process. So that's how that works. Congratulations again on your 2021 Nissan Rogue SV. This is an absolutely amazing vehicle. I've typically driven the SV technology package as a demo when I'm at the dealership. This has everything that's in the SV technology package, except for the power liftgate, which is in the SV Premium. Absolutely amazing features. I love the drive. I love the comfort. It's hard to believe, but it's gotten more comfortable than what it already was. And everything about this is absolutely amazing. The finish on this is beautiful. I know you're going to love your new vehicle. I look forward to working with you in a few years' time when it's time for your next one. Anytime you're in service, please feel free to stop by and say hello. And if you have any questions at this point, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can call, text, email, or stop into 60 Baker Drive with O'Regan's Nissan here in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, and I'll do everything that I can to help answer any questions that you have.